This is Frankie Lynch, Saturn Girl. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Comment below because I want to know what you think and it helps out with the algorithm. But I'm in a foul mood right now because I made a 20-minute video and I just lost it. All about this same goddamn little transit that we're going to talk about right now. You see, Mars, our fun-loving, fiery friend, is entering the less fun-loving sign of Virgo. What the hell does this mean for us anyway? Well, I just told you for 20 minutes. And now we're redoing it. We're telling you again. Which is very Virgo, isn't it? It's like we weren't satisfied enough with the first time, so we got to do it multiple times. I'm sorry, but I'm in a bad mood now. This sucks. This is stupid. I have to say all this stuff again. Anyway, so Mars and Virgo. Mars and Virgo. So what's Mars? What sort of energy is embodied in this mother? Well, Mars is violence, aggression, masculinity, drive, and passion. Well, what about Virgo? Virgo is Mercury's home, one of Mercury's homes. Virgo is the feminine, earthy, mutable home of Mercury. So we could think of Virgo too as that time of the year where the light is beginning to wane or fade as we approach the equinox in Libra. So whereas Gemini is that waxing light, that outgoing light, Virgo is that introspective or ingoing light, that involutionary or ingathering sort of light. It's intelligent, isn't it? Virgo Mercury people are very intelligent. It's very introspective and focused. It's not super busy or scattered, but it's still mercurial and changes its mind quite frequently. You'll notice Virgo Mercury people still, you know, they don't stick to one thing like you'd think they would. And it can be very discerning. And the thing about discernment is it often expresses as what? Criticism. Now, when I think of Mars and Virgo, I have a friend who has Mars and Virgo. He's very sweet. He's a Libra with Mars and Virgo. And when we're setting something up together, I'll put something where, you know, it generally goes. And he can see within a millimeter, oh, no, that doesn't go there. It doesn't. I'm trying to do his voice. He's got a, you know, sounds like Johnny Depp, you know. No, that doesn't go there. Anyway, very sweet guy. Very, very sweet guy. But I would describe it as aggressively fastidious, right? Who moved my cheese? No, don't touch it. That doesn't go there. It goes here. I'm a Taurus Mercury, so I can sort of relate to it, you know? But it's sort of like, it's a passion for investigating. You know, you launch into a subject and you got to focus on it, right? So anyway, it can get wrapped up into details. Stubbornly committed to their way or the right way. I mean, their way is the right way, of course. And wanting to fix things. You know, Virgo sort of known as the fix-it sign, and Mars, that masculine sort of influence going through Virgo is like, let me fix it, let me fix it. You know, but when you're trying to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, you're just causing lots of issues. And you're creating more fix-it problems later. Maybe you're just creating job security for yourself. I don't know. Anyway, well, what we want to do here is take a look at what this means for you individually. Because if we look at the house, the whole sign house Virgo is for you, we can get some indications about what sort of things will transpire in your life for this brief little thing. It'll be about a month, right? A little more than a month and a week or so. So we'll take a look for each of the rising signs here and see if we can't discern some interesting things for you. Well, let's start off here with Aries Rising. So for Aries Rising, this means this means Mars is entering your 6th house, right? The 6th house. It's the stuff we don't want to do, right? it's busyness and it's injuries and it's illnesses and it's work and it's blah, 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 blah. So oftentimes we're super busy and busy with things that we don't enjoy. Like oftentimes we have to take care of health related stuff, doctor's appointments, errands, or actually fixing things. Watch out getting sick, because the sixth house is also illnesses. But it can be conflicts in general. People can get in your face, or maybe conflicts at work in particular. Now, let's move on to our Taurus Rising homies. So for our Taurus Rising friends, Mars is entering your fifth house. So the fifth house is children and fun and pleasure. So for those of us with kids, you have to be aware that you will probably be getting into fights with your kids. This is a time when your children tend to be extra combative and extra disobedient, right? They do not want to follow directions. So it's your job to, number one, hold to your boundaries, and number two, to also pick your battles. This means being consistent with yourself. I know being a parent, being consistent is like gold, right? Kids need consistency. Otherwise, you're giving them mixed messages, and we're all totally guilty of doing that. So learning to hold your line, but also we need to have fun. So whether or not you have kids, finding times to go out, right, and sparkle up a little bit, and also you're going to have some increased sexual desire probably. So just be aware of that. That's probably a thing. Enjoy yourself. Now, how about our Gemini Rising friends? Gemini Rising homies, this means Mars is entering your fourth house, which often indicates fights with our parents or grandparents, or contentious conflicts surrounding our living situations. That could be issues with landlords, roommates, HOAs, I'm thinking of all the people we don't like, property management companies, you might find yourself having to be a Karen with some of these folks here. Just don't take any shit. Don't let anyone push you around with these sorts of things. If you don't defend your own interests with these people, then no one else will. Okay? Now let's move on to Cancer. Cancer Rising, the third house here. So what does this mean for you? Well, watch out for tensions in your immediate community and environment. Where do we see those most aptly manifest? Road rage. Running errands and doing our commutes. Maybe you're in the line at the grocery store and it's just taking a long time and someone says the wrong thing or looks at you funny. And these are the things that can happen in our immediate communities. The other thing the third house is siblings and extended family, like aunts, uncles, cousins. We could be seeing fights with those types of people or contentious sort of interactions. So we do have to be cautious about when it's advantageous to really push people and not, right? So now that brings us to Leo. Let's move to Leo here. Okay, so our Leo Rising homies. I just met someone who's Leo Rising. I have such a thing for Leo Rising. I get so smitten on Leo Rising. Anyway, she's very cute. But so for our Leo Rising friends, watch spending money. When Mars tours through our second house, we often feel a proclivity or a pull to dish out the ducats, right? Sometimes we just want to spend on ourselves and buy something nice. Or sometimes it's that something breaks and we have to replace it. Whatever it is, you'll likely have a desire to buy stuff. And so please, be careful, save for a rainy day. And there may be an impulse to be more independent or enterprising or taking risks. I assure you, being cautious is really worthwhile during these moments. When you want to take a risk, it's probably a good time to think it through and be more cautious, okay? And when Mars goes through our second house, we can lose money. So, be careful. Now, how about we move on to our next friends here? That's our Virgo Rising friends. So this is your first house. So please watch out for injuries. The first house is you, the whole you, body, mind, and spirit. So on the one hand, we could be prone to things like bruises, scrapes, cuts, swats. I don't know, I'm trying to think of all these onomatopoeic words here. But even illnesses, because Mars is also, sickness and stuff like that. This could feel like an increase in stress and a decrease in vitality. So you see energy level go down, stress level go up, sickness, yeah, fertile ground for viruses. We could get exhausted and agitated here, and you'll probably be quick-tempered and on edge. So beware before you start jumping down people's throats, because it doesn't help us later, does it? Now let's move on here to Libra Rising and the 12th house. So for our Libra Rising friends, you're going to have this leave me alone mentality, right? And if people don't listen, they'll wish they had, because they'll have wanted to leave you alone once they see that you're in this space here. So you probably want to focus your attention on a particular problem or question or something that really engrosses your attention. And you can't do that, can you, when people are getting all up in your grill? So this is sort of an isolating thing, but not a calm isolation. This is an agitated isolation. This is where you need to go into your bubble to do something, and other people can't get in your way. And this can be agitating because we're a little less able to use our words than we normally are. And this precipitates conflicts when you can't properly explain why you are so agitated. So please just do your best, my dear Libra Risings, okay? Now let's move on to Scorpio Rising. So for Scorpio Rising, okay, I want to tell you about the book that I've just written, okay? Read my new book. It's entitled How to Lose Friends and Alienate People by Saturn Girl. You probably don't need to read the book. I mean, you probably don't need any help. I know most of us don't. But if you did. So in this book, we would be exploring such themes as, well, holding people to rigid expectations doesn't really make them want to spend any time around you, does it? Right? But the thing about that is, seriously, we're more prone to arguments with our friends or our fans or people who consume our content. And often it's because of one of two things. Disagreement with our message in either form or content, right? So either the message or how we're saying it. Creative differences, right? Either they don't like what we're trying to put across or how we're doing it. But the 11th house is more than just that. You see, it's the people who also are benefactors, the people who support us in what we do. So this is why we do see schisms with friends sometimes, and we bite the hand that feeds us over some shit like keeping it real, right? Well, I mean, we always want to keep it real, but sometimes we have to be aware of when it goes wrong and of when we're alienating people just because of our own personal nonsense, because of our personal tastes, not because of anything substantial or anything that really helps anyone or that gets our message across. Oftentimes it's our, at least me, it's my ego that gets in the way. I don't know about you. I'm not going to speak for you, but I know from experience that mine does. So anyway, differences of opinion or approach, and most importantly, an unwillingness to compromise. Because the 11th house is about compromise with our friends and the people who support us in what we do. And Mars is very unyielding, isn't he? So that's the unwillingness to compromise. Now, that means we need to be aware of when we can. So let's move on now to Sag. So for Sag Rising, that means Virgo, 10th house. So when Mars is transiting your 10th house here, especially in Virgo, I need you to be very careful about getting in fights at work, particularly with bosses or authority figures in general. You need to pick your battles. Doesn't mean don't stand up for yourself, but also know that certain battles will get you a bad reputation. And the 10th house is all about your reputation. So this is a time when you don't want to be doing things you wouldn't want to see plastered all over YouTube, right? You know, Frankie does XYZ, right? I mean, I'm sort of a little goofy anyway, but there are certain things we don't want attached to our good names, right? Those are the things you want to avoid. Now, it doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, but just realize that these sorts of mistakes will get remembered and probably chronicled in detail by people you'd rather them not be chronicled or detailed by, let alone remembered by anyone, right? So please keep your nose clean, because that will come back to bite you in the butt. Now, how about our Capricorn Rising friends? For Capricorn Rising, well, this is the ninth house here, isn't it? And the ninth house is what we get very, very, very passionate about. And this can get you into trouble, especially right now, because everyone's very tense. And they're very tense about what? About what they're passionate about. I mean, more so than normal. Everyone's ideologies are sort of strained and getting antagonistic to each other. I mean, gosh, people are very passionate about me not existing, aren't they? I'm very passionate about being able to exist. So, but we need to be aware of when these sort of arguments and misunderstandings spill over into bigger conflicts and bigger debates. It does not help to squarely side with zealotry and fundamentalism here, because that will be the tendency. And when people are rigidly attached to what they believe, they get very combative against alternative beliefs. Anyway, that's not very helpful right now, I can tell you. But you're not going to listen to me anyway. Well, how about Aquarius Rising? This is me, yay! This is the 8th house, which isn't super fun. But when Mars goes through the 8th house, we can sort of expect unexpected losses, unexpected expenses. And this is why we need to save for the rainy days, because they happen. And Mars is hot and dry, and he dries up all the rain. And not in a good way. We need water sometimes. We need resources. So, I mean, I think of things, we talked about the 2nd house is very similar, something breaking and needing to be replaced. That sort of stuff happens with the 8th house as well. Needing to replace big ticket items or something. But also things having to do with death and expenses having to do with death. I'm not trying to be morbid necessarily, but it is a possibility. In my case, I have a very old dog, and she's not doing too well. And the next month could bring expenses that are not pleasant. And I don't want to think about it because it's terribly sad. But it's the reality of the situation. Well, before I start crying, I'm going to move on. But for my Aquarius Rising peeps, just, be careful with spending money. And, things. Anyway, so Pisces Rising. So Pisces Rising, this means Mars is going through the 7th house, which typically indicates breakups of some sort, right? Breakups. But it doesn't have to just be breakups from a current relationship or conflicts from a current relationship. It could be carries over from an old relationship. I'm talking about legal issues with exes or ex-spouses, or, drama from relationships that followed you over, This would be a time to cut that stuff off, because Mars cuts things off. Mars is surgeries and removals and all that sort of thing. So, also, like I said, the 7th house does oftentimes indicate legal opponents or legal struggles or legal adversaries, which can frequently be ex-partners. So just remember those sorts of things are highlighted here too. Now, I hope some of this stuff was useful and interesting for you. I really appreciate you watching all the way till the end here. And please, please, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. And comment, please, because all that stuff does help out as well. And it's fun for us to sort of mix it up. Now, remember, I do wonderful readings. They're the best, objectively the best, All my information is below in the description. And please, 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 please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I do wonderful, wonderful content also on relationship stuff. So watch my synastry videos. And please, 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 my darlings, thank you for watching to the end. I am eternally grateful. And have a wonderful whatever you're having. Mwah.